Hey everybody, good morning. Crypto Mentor 99 here. And I've got another really important strategic interview with Confidence, who's in Harare, Zimbabwe. And there's so much to talk about. During the pre interview, I just said, I'm going to give you a long introduction and then we'll get into the interview. So, Confidence, let's say hi first, and then I'm going to give you a long introduction.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying wherever you are. Yeah, definitely hodling to some crypto cryptocurrencies.
There you go. So, a couple of months ago on my YouTube channel, I said, I'm going to start looking into Africa and
Okay.
India. I said this on my YouTube channel. I said, I'm going to start looking into Africa and India because I know those two countries are going to play a big role in the cryptocurrency space in the years to come. So
Okay.
just so everybody knows, somehow I found Confidence on Twitter, and somehow I'm like, oh, this guy's associated with XinFin. And for those of you that don't know, I've done about 175 videos on XinFin. Why? Because I like XinFin. So Confidence is in Zimbabwe. He's the ecosystem development manager for XinFin. He's the outreach manager for House Africa One. And just so everybody who doesn't know, House Africa One has to do with getting real estate on the blockchain in Africa, correct, Confidence?
Yes, very correct.
And Confidence wears a lot of hats. He's a young man. You're going to hear his name in the future of Zimbabwe and Africa for sure. But what caught my attention, I'm still in the introduction, what caught my attention on Twitter the other day, there's a summer school going on in Zimbabwe. It's a university blockchain summer school at the Harare Institute of Technology. Confidence is involved, and I'm like, that sounds interesting. I got to get a hold of Confidence again because this is a second interview that we've done. And I said, we got to let the world know what's happening in Harare. So, Confidence, with that long introduction, it's good to see you again. And yeah, thanks for being so faithful in the cryptocurrency space and the XinFin space in Harare. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Crypto Mentor.
So, again, I want to let everybody know about you. Give us a couple of minutes on, because you're the outreach manager of House Africa One, which is on Twitter. What, why is it important to get real estate on the blockchain in Africa? Like, why is that important?
Okay, real estate in Africa is a really big market and a big business. And you know what happens when there's a lot of money that is moving in a certain industry? It attracts a lot of scammers, hoaxes, and the likes.
Yeah.
So it's a problem that we saw that a lot of people are getting scammed. Like I can give you an example of a guy, of a bank actually, that was scammed of millions of dollars
Oh,
by a single guy. This guy sold land that didn't belong to him to a bank. Can you imagine? Right?
hmm.
So imagine if you had a system where the bank doesn't have to verify from an individual, but it has to verify on the blockchain
Mm-hmm.
whether that land belongs to that guy. It would have been easier for them and they would have not lost all of those millions of dollars. So, like, that's one of the major problems that we looked at and say that we want to change and we don't want people to get scammed of their hard-earned money. Number two, um, Africa has a huge housing deficit,
Yeah.
um, and a lot of people have found a lot of people in Africa don't have houses. They don't have decent housing. So we saw that one of the problems in Africa is that those that do have the resources to own a house, they end up monopolizing the industry. And at the end, finding a decent home or a decent house, it's a really huge. It's something that would take a lot of money from you. Like renting a two-roomed house, probably that is not that spacious or really beautiful. Would cost you something more than a 500 US dollars, which is like a lot of money for a lot of people that are in Africa. And that's one thing that we saw and say, okay, how do we solve this problem? The only way we can do that is to introduce affordable housing, right?
Sure.
So we looked at some of the resources or things that are used in Africa that might be that someone might be considering throwing away, and then we make use of them to have a decent home for somebody to live in. Like the bachelor like me, I don't need a full house for the moment, probably.
Yeah.
So I just need something that is convenient for me, somewhere where I can get to lay my head, and I have a small kitchen and stuff like that. So one of the models that we have is using those shipping containers to
Yeah.
to make a house for somebody to live in. So that is very affordable for someone. It's easy to put it in to put it somewhere where somebody can get to live. Yeah. So definitely we are bringing in convenience. We are bringing in affordable houses, and we are trying to solve the whole scammers issue
Okay.
in the state.
And like the first video we did, I'm going to put the link, your Twitter account, and House Africa One in the description box below of this video.
That'll
So
be great.
let's because you're a diamond. You are a diamond in Africa, and we got to get the word out about all the great stuff that you're doing. Before we talk about the summer school, let's just talk about the country and Africa as a whole. Like, what's going on in Zimbabwe? Like, what's the government's position on blockchain and cryptocurrency? Blah blah blah. Like, what's going on there?
Okay, so last year we had a lot of confusion in the country in terms of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin was one of the most famous cryptocurrencies that everybody got to talk about, and it didn't like really please our central bank, and they ended up banning something that they didn't even understand how
Yeah.
it works. They banned exchanges. I used to run an exchange myself. They banned us, and yeah, 2017, all our operations came to a halt. That was the end of 2017, and so we've been trying to have a conversation with these guys to say, okay, you guys, you banned cryptocurrencies. Let's try to have a conversation to see if you guys do understand what you really want, right? They were not really in the position to give an ear to us. And it's something that affected the industry in Zimbabwe because we were starting to see a lot of people getting interested in cryptocurrencies.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was asking, what is Bitcoin? If you would go to a seminar, start talking about Bitcoin, so everybody would be like on your story to say, tell me more about Bitcoins. You get it? So it slowed down the process because a lot of people have trust in the central banking system. So they were like, if the central bank banned this thing, then definitely it's not legit.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been trying. It's been a hard time for us to try to convince people that no, guys, you need to understand that we have two models here. We have somebody who's doing central banking and somebody who's doing decentralized. It's direct competition, and so these guys definitely they will not just say yes to cryptocurrencies. They will definitely go from one point to the other, trying to jump the gun. And recently, we've been trying to put more and more effort to talk to them. And right now they're starting to listen because there's been a little bit of some changes in our government. And they're saying, okay, we're welcoming all of your ideas. We want to hear them. We want to learn what this is all about. So some parts of the government sectors are saying, yes, come, let's have a conversation. Some parts of them are saying, we want to learn from somebody who's not in Zimbabwe, which is something which really makes us sick because we have a lot of talent in Zimbabwe in terms of blockchain. And these guys, some of the guys, they don't want to learn from us, which is something that we don't understand. So,
Wow. So slow down, slow down, slow down. This is good. You're going fast. You're going good. But I want to let everybody make sure what you just said. So, what Confidence just said is that the government, like a lot of other governments and central banks, they become scared because they don't understand it, and then they shut it down. Now, Confidence also said that he had an exchange that was shut down. So again, this is not a person that I'm interviewing that has no influence in Zimbabwe or Africa. He's just said a whole lot of important stuff, and I just want to slow down so everybody understands. So when Confidence says we're talking to the central banks and we're talking to the government, I'm interviewing the guy, Confidence, who's physically talking to the central banks and the government of Zimbabwe. So I just want everybody to know that when you say we're talking to the central banks, we're talking to the government, it's not like your boss or your neighbor, it's you. You're the one that's spearheading these conversations, which again, for a young man in your 20s is unbelievably, I can't even think about that in the United States. So again, that's one of the reasons I wanted to continue to have this relationship and let everybody know about the things that you're doing in Zimbabwe. Have you seen a change of direction in the hearts of the central bankers or some of the government officials? Like, oh, I'm starting to understand this. Thank you. Tell me more. Tell me more.
okay. So in terms of the central banks, we haven't seen a change. But in terms of the other government sectors, yes, we have, which is very important to us because what the central bank is only concentrating on is cryptocurrencies. And what these other guys are now looking at or looking answers to is blockchain, right? Which is very important to us. So definitely, I think we'll get to that point where they will say, okay, we definitely want to listen to you because you said, okay, let's not concentrate on the negative energy.
Yeah.
Let us concentrate on what's most important to somebody who's willing to listen to us. So we started engaging in the conversations with them, and we are working on things that are going to be fruitful. And for a start, they allowed us to do this blockchain summer school in collaboration with the government. It's unbelievable.
So hang on. So before we get to the summer school, so let me ask you a question that maybe you can't answer because it's secret information or private information. So one more thing about the government. So based on your conversations with the central bank and some of the government officials, can you tell us where you think the future of blockchain is going in Zimbabwe or Africa as a whole? Are you encouraged by what you're hearing?
Okay, yeah, definitely I am encouraged because right now our government has identified some of the key problems that made our economy skydive. So one of the problems that Zimbabwe used to have is we had a lot of talent in Zimbabwe. We had a lot of technopreneurs, people with huge innovations. They would approach the government wouldn't listen. The next thing these guys would do is leave the country. They go develop another country,
Yeah.
somewhere else. So they did observe that. They said, oh, this is our problem. So right now they are working on uh, structures that will make it possible that if anybody has an idea of creating of any innovation, they'll uh, take that person, put them in a hub, they develop their idea to the fullest, and they move them to the industry. They start to do the work that they want to do. So they are doing the same to blockchain. They're saying, yeah, we are open to all these technologies. Like, for example, I can tell you about a project that wants to be implemented. I don't know when it's going to be implemented, but it's the cable cars. Um, so we have a huge problem in the transport field of Zimbabwe, and one of the problems is we have a lot of, we call them combis here. I don't know what you call them here in the States. I don't know if you even have that. So we use these commuter or minibuses that ferry people from their homes into town. So there's like a lot of them because they are not really regulated, and there's a lot of problems that are created, a lot of congestions. So like they want to say, okay, let's put this system away of all these commuter or minibuses and use cable cars that will ferry people from certain points of the city to the city center. So definitely seeing that they are saying yes to that, it tells me that yes, in Zimbabwe it's going to be possible to see the blockchain affecting a number of um, areas in Zimbabwe.
Okay. 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 That's great. I'm encouraged by just you saying that, and I'm just thinking out loud. I think as the rest of the central banks and the rest of the other countries in the world jump on the crypto or the blockchain bandwagon, I think that's going to help Zimbabwe and Africa kind of, because no one wants to be left behind, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, definitely.
if I'm a central banker in Zimbabwe, which I'm not, I'm going, hey, Europe's doing it, the United States is doing it, Canada's doing it. We don't want to be left behind.
Yes.
So, all right, awesome stuff. So let's switch gears again to this summer school, which I'm really excited about. And I want to give a plug to XinFin. And I follow a lot of projects and ICOs and cryptocurrencies and stuff. But, and this is the truth, no one does more to educate the younger people, the college students, than XinFin. I don't know all of what XinFin is doing. I'm not a paid employee of XinFin, but they do a lot in India with education. They do a lot at conferences. And again, what really caught my attention last week when I was on my cryptocurrency road trip is this summer school. So, confidence. Again, seriously, tell me about. Well, first of all, let's talk about not so much the summer school, what's going to happen next week. What's the goal of the blockchain summer school? What are you guys trying to accomplish by having this summer school?
Okay, that's great. So we are trying to accomplish a number of goals, but the most important thing that we saw is that we are now engaging the government, and if our message to the government and all these guys is well had, and they are giving a yes, and then we don't have our people or the young generation uh, getting to know what we are trying to do, then I don't think that we are doing any good to Zimbabwe. So we thought about it and said, okay, these guys in the tertiary education, they are still being taught something of something that maybe probably will not ever apply to their lives. And like most companies right now are looking at blockchain, how they can get to use it. So we say the best thing to do, let's go to those guys first. Let's
Yeah.
get down with those guys,
Yeah.
teach them until they do understand this.
Yeah.
So that when the wheel of blockchain starts rolling, these guys will also help us to pioneer this. Because, the problem is those who knew about blockchain stayed with that knowledge. They never shared it with anyone. So when you try to create a conversation, nobody will even raise a hand to say, "Oh, I understand what you're talking about," or "I want to help make your solution even better." Right? So this is our starting point to say, okay, let's get these guys into understanding what blockchain is, and then they can get to choose which field of blockchain they want to work with.
Wow. So I looked at the event. I've got my notes here.
Yeah.
So it's November the 9th. Let's just say that November the 9th at the
Yes.
Harare Institute of Technology. Okay.
Yes. That's one of the leading universities in terms of technology in
Okay.
Zimbabwe. Yes.
So it's all day. It's from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Yes.
And again, we set up. So I'm just going to read this. This is from the event page. It says the Blockchain Summer School will be held at Harare Institute of Technology. We already said November the 9th. The summer school is an initiative of the Blockchain Center and run jointly for the third year by faculty members from the HIT or Harare Institute of Technology, HIT, the HIT
Yes.
Software Engineering Department, Computer Engineering, IT Department, and Electronic Commerce. Being first of its kind, it will cover a number of subjects, but basically introduce the blockchain technology to the future leaders. Now, I thought maybe 30 or 40 people were going to be in attendance. Did you say like 350?
Yes. 300 people
Now,
will be at it.
will that, do you know if that's like from Harare itself or from Harare and the surrounding areas?
Okay, so I think almost 3/4 of that will be from Harare. We have a few people that are coming out of Zimbabwe. Actually, we have one lady that's coming from Botswana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the other couple of attendees. I mean, then we do have some students that are coming from Bulawayo. We have a university in Bulawayo. There's another university that is in Harare that is called the University of Zimbabwe. So yeah, people are coming from different angles of Zimbabwe.
And I heard that you're going to be one of the guest speakers.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell us what you're going to be sharing about to these young people.
Okay, so basically, I'm gonna share with them the exciting technology from XinFin and all of his products. With one of the exciting products that is being launched very soon, the blockchain course that is going to be launched by XinFin. I'm gonna share about the My Contract and tell them that basically they can learn how to put together a smart contract using My Contract from XinFin, and of course the financing infrastructure from XinFin.
And then some of the, like, is there going to be like different, like from 9 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock, different speakers in different classrooms? Or will you be speaking to everybody for an hour and then another speaker speaks to everyone? Like, how is it going to break down like that?
Okay, so yeah, in the morning we're gonna have a series of speakers. So one of the guest speakers that we have is the permanent secretary for information communication technology in Zimbabwe, and that's one of the most exciting things that we are really proud to have. And yeah, we will have technocrats like Tawanda Campbell. He's going to be speaking at the event. We're going to have Jonathan Frenell, who is one of the leading blockchain experts in Zimbabwe also.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're going to have Alakanani from Botswana. She's going to speak also. Yeah, and then after 3 speakers, we're going to have a panel of discussion.
Oh, wow.
We'll discuss with those guys that have been giving speeches, and then we'll entertain some questions from the crowds. We want to know what they're thinking about, what they want to ask, what they want to know more.
Is there anything we did? Yeah, we didn't talk about this in the pre-interview, but is anything going to be recorded?
Definitely, everything is going to be put on record.
Okay, and is your session going to be recorded?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're going on 20 minutes, and I just want everybody to know that, I mean, you may think this interview is about a young man in his early 20s in the middle of nowhere in Africa, but when I look at confidence, I see a pioneer in Africa in the crypto space. So, irregardless of his age, I mean, this is a man that you're going to be hearing more and more about when he gets to be 30 years old and 35 years old and 40 years old. So, one of the goals of my YouTube channel is not to talk about what everybody else is talking about, is to find those people and those stories that are still young and they're maturing, but they're going to have a real impact in the crypto space. And I'm telling you, confidence is a pioneer in the same way that, you know, the pioneers in the United States moved out to the west part of the United States in their, you know, covered wagons. They were pioneers, and confidence is like that. He's a pioneer in Harare, in Zimbabwe, and in Africa. And I'm super excited about this summer school. I don't know if anybody else is, but what?
I am.
Oh, dude, when we're done next week, when you're done with the school, let's do
Yeah.
another interview, and you could tell us what went on, and you know, just share some of the cool stories, either from
Awesome.
a guest speaker, from your question and answer time. But let's
Yes.
definitely have you back on. And whenever I do an interview, I always let the person that I'm interviewing have the last word. So, is there anything before we close, Confidence, that maybe you're thinking about and you're like, oh, I wish I would have said this one more thing during the interview? Is there anything like on your mind just in general, or about the summer school, or about cryptocurrency and the government or the central banks? Is there anything that you just want to end the interview with?
Okay, definitely. So one of the most exciting thing that we want to try to introduce in Africa is a really open space for everybody to learn about cryptocurrencies. So we're always welcoming a number of people, anyone who would want to cooperate with us to make it possible. And secondly, we're going to have another version of this summer school probably next year.
Really?
We are already planning about it, but this will also involve these big guys, these corporates, and we will have very exciting speakers that will be at the conference. So, you're welcome. You're welcome to come. I know
Wow.
you've been planning to come to Africa, so that will be your chance to
Well,
come here.
maybe we could do this next week for the next interview. Do you have a date on when next year?
The date is not yet set. We still have the number of things that we need to
Sure. Yeah.
follow up.
Yeah.
And probably I'll share in the future about the
Okay,
events
you bet.
as,
Yeah, yeah.
as we are sure about it. In the lights.
Okay. Well, there you guys and gals heard it from Confidence in Harare, Zimbabwe. He's got a lot on his plate. I'm going to put all the links below. Confidence, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for what you're doing for Harare. Thank you for what you're doing in Zimbabwe. And thank you for what you're doing in Africa as a whole. I appreciate it. I really do. Thanks so much.
Thank you very, very much, Crypto Mentor. It's always a pleasure to be on your channel.
And we'll do another interview after the summer school next week.
I will be very glad to do that.
Okay, thanks, Confidence. See you later.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.